All right, welcome everybody to the show. We are live now on Galed Media. This is Karar Hiabu, and I have the honor to have you. Welcome everybody to the show. As a guests, I'm sorry. This interview with a friendly media is considered as an introduction to each other's audience and introduces a moral law firm forum to the public. We assume that Prime Minister Simon is talking and educating the Eritrean audience while Mr. President, Mr. G, to the Biafran people. Thanks the Honorable Prime Minister Simon Ekpa for being on my program, Mr. President Gabriel Bahdurai, Eritrean Transitional Government in Exile, and Mr. Elias, the Vice President of Modern Strategies and Cooperation. Thank you so much for being on my show. To start, can you give us, Prime Minister Simon, your brief background on who you are, how and when did you join the struggle for self-determination of the Biafran people, and also when and how did you become the Prime Minister of the Biafra movement? Are you mute?
Thank you very much, Mr. Hiabu. I'm very happy to be part of this historic moment today, speaking on your channel for the very first time in that side of Africa. My name's Ekpa Simon Njoko. I am a Biafran, and I joined the liberation of independent state of Biafra in 2019. And after the kidnap of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, from Kenya, and extraordinarily rendition to Nigeria in quest to end the Biafra struggle, I emerged as the leader of the then autopilot. The autopilot movement of the Biafra liberation metamorphosed to the Biafra government in exile and the de facto government in the homeland. And I was elected as the Prime Minister of the Biafra government, both in the homeland and in exile, on the 9th of April 2023. So I have been the Prime Minister of Biafra government since April 2023 to date. Thank you.
Who you are and what role do you play with the Biafra and the Eritrean government in exile?
Thank you so much. I'm greatly honored to be here with all of you. As noted, I am a lobbyist with Moran Global Strategies, which is a lobbying firm founded by my good friend and colleague, James Moran, who served as a member of Congress representing Virginia for about a quarter of a century. Our firm has a great specialty in representing foreign clientele, whether it be foreign governments, foreign political parties, or corporations, amongst other clients, which include defense companies and a wide variety of causes. Our firm represents both the Biafra Republic government in exile. We also represent the Eritrean government in exile and the transitional president of Eritrea, Gabriel Bahdurai. And these are not only clients, but also good and dear friends as well. And our firm, because we represent both clients, we brought both these Biafran causes and Eritrean causes together because it's always beneficial to see if there's mutual synergy between clients. To give you a layman's perspective, if you will, of what is lobbying at a granular level, which I think will be helpful for your audience. Similar to, I think the best analogy, which I think will make this lobbying, which oftentimes can be overly complicated, in a very simple, practical, and easy to understand way, is similar to how people hire accountants to do their taxes, or people hire lawyers to navigate the legal process. People hire lobbyists to navigate the political process and to influence public policy. Now, theoretically, you don't need a lobbyist. Everyone has the right to petition the government. But you have a much better chance of influencing policy, of having a voice in the room if you have a lobbyist. The same thing is in court. You could technically go into court without a lawyer, but if you go into court without a lawyer and on the opposite side you have a lawyer that's from a top law firm being paid $1,000 an hour, you're probably going to lose the case. The same thing applies here. We have expertise, we have an understanding of how Washington works, and we have relationships. Many of the members of Congress who are still in Congress have served in Congress with my colleague Jim Moran. He knows them. They know him. Many members of Congress know me. Many people in the think tank community know me. So when we make meeting requests on behalf of our clients, or when we try to relay items on behalf of our clients, it's not coming from a stranger. It's coming from a friend, a familiar voice. And look, I want to be clear. When we make requests, it doesn't automatically mean the member of Congress is going to do whatever we request or whatever we want. But we're in a position where we could have direct access, where we could put our clients face to face with the member of Congress, with their staffer, with the think tank official, with the stakeholders, where they could have that direct access, which is very difficult to get if you don't have a lobbyist. I'm just being very frank with you, because these offices are inundated with thousands of requests a day from people, most of whom they don't even know. And so the reaction you're going to have when you have someone that is a known quantity versus someone you never heard of before, it's going to be completely different. And because of what our activities, we're already seeing the results. Most recently, for example, the American Enterprise Institute and one of its senior scholars, Dr. Michael Rubin, who I've known personally for many years, published a very influential article talking about the Biafra self-referendum. This has not been ever done before. Biafra, until our engagement, really hasn't been discussed in Washington, D.C. But now, because of our efforts, one of the world's most influential think tanks is publishing about Biafra. With President Badarai, we've had a series of high-level meetings with Congressman Sherman, with Ambassador Nagy. Ambassador Nagy also met with the Biafran Prime Minister, and they published these meetings. They issued tweets, which generated enormous publicity and also have caused us to receive attacks from the Eritrean Minister of Information. So with our activities, we're able to directly influence U.S. policy on behalf of our clients and to get real results, which would be difficult to achieve otherwise. And so, I view us as the spokesperson, if you will, or the spokespeople for these two noble causes here in Washington, D.C. We've made enormous progress, and I think we'll continue to make a significant more progress in the next coming weeks and months. So I just want to give you the 60,000-foot overview of generally what is a lobbyist, what it is that we do, why we're important. And I'm sure your audience can understand, when a congressperson receives a call from someone they served in Congress with for 20 years, it's going to be reacted to differently than a random phone call to their office. So I think this should be an easy message to comprehend. I think it's an important one for your audience to know. And I'm happy to discuss more specifics in the course of our conversation, but I just want to give you and your audience a 60,000-foot overview.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for all that, Mr. Elias, Vice President of the Modern Strategies. Going back to Prime Minister, the Honorable Simon Ekpa, can you give us some of the reasons why the Biafran people needed to be independent of the Nigerian government?
Thank you very much, Mr. Haibu, for that question. Biafra was forcefully joined together with Nigeria, other ethnic tribe in Nigeria, other ethnic nationalities. And during this forceful union, which was named the Amalgamation of 1914, the people that made up of the Niger area, which is today Nigeria, were not consulted. and people did not consent to find themselves, into this forceful union. And it may interest you that it is only in Nigeria that we have what is called a dangerous diversity. And in this dangerous diversity, from 1914, we have seen Nigeria supervising death of millions upon millions of indigenous people, both those that were massacred and killed by the terrorists that are invading Nigeria from other parts of the world. Unchallenged, the history of the northern Nigeria, which was conquered by a man called Usman Dan Fodio, is what they are struggling all the time to replicate in this modern century. So Biafra found themselves in this forceful union with a very dangerous diversity, the diversity of culture, diversity of religion, diversity of language, everything. We are pulled apart from each other. Of course, it is not just about this diversity, but also the killings for a particular targeted purpose. And everybody understands that during the pogrom against the Biafrans in the north in 1945, it resulted to what led to the war, because the leaders of Biafra then decided that we can no longer continue to watch our people getting killed every day in Nigeria. And that led to the declaration of Biafra in 1967. Now, fast forward, after the war of Biafra in Nigeria, the genocide ended, there was something they called Triple R, which was introduced by the then president military ruler called Ekpa. And of course, on that ground and basis, Biafrans lay down their weapons. After that, Triple R
network.
I think we're having some challenges.
Yes. Until.
Am I being heard?
Yeah, I think yeah, we have some
the network
problems. Yeah, we can go forward and then
yes, and then you come back. Yeah.
Yes. Come back to you.
Yeah, I can continue. It is
okay. Good.
I can continue. Yeah. It is one of those things. Yeah, it is one of those things we see in a movement like this. You're gonna see cyber attack. You're gonna see all manner of interruption.
That's true.
When the opposition and the evil enablers and their inventors are trying to disrupt this wonderful and historic program. So we are not going to be moved by all the interruption and all that. We will continue to focus on why we are here today. Whenever you stop hearing me, please call my attention. And when I also notice there is a problem on this side, I will also adjust. So going forward,
keep the fight on, Mr. President, Prime Minister. Keep the fight going on. Yes, we will continue.
Thank you. So going forward, Nigeria today no longer function as a law-governed state capable of resolving its political problem, socio-political problem, the diversity problem, the ethnic crisis, the invention of the jihadist movement all over Nigeria. Nigeria have demonstrated that they are incapable of solving these problems. And so we have witnessed the massacre of people within the Nigeria state. We have witnessed the killings of indigenous people, and this killings is spreading very wide up to now to the southern part of Nigeria. And of course, these terrorists are struggling also to invade Biafra land. And they are being backed by the Nigeria state. As we see today, the Nigeria government is being controlled by these extremists. And then, of course, the Biafra people are completely different people from different background, different ethnic nationality, different religions, and all that. So we decided that we will not rely on Nigeria protection, otherwise the original plan of a man called Usman Danfodio will come to fruition. Biafra decided that we are going to take this upon ourselves, as the leaders of the Biafra in the 60s have created the awareness and of course tried to defend Biafrans that are getting killed all over Nigeria. And of course that particular attempt failed in what we see as a genocide. Nigeria have not been tried in any court for the starvation of Biafrans and the war crime against Biafra people. Today, Nigeria security agents are all infiltrated by Boko Haram and other terrorist groups. And these terrorists are being sent to different parts of Nigeria, either to directly attack and enable the conquest of other ethnic nationalities, or they are going to be there to supervise and share the terrorists while they sack villages and communities. On a daily basis, we witness hundreds and hundreds of people getting killed, many kidnapped for ransom, and Nigeria government does nothing about these crimes every day. So the Biafra government, both in the homeland and in exile, has taken up the responsibility for defending Biafra people, providing the security that Nigeria has failed to provide. And of course, in this particular quest for our freedom, we decided to use multidimensional approach because we know the complexity of a fight like this, especially in a globalization where all the political correctness, people who believe in political correctness are in power. You will see where people are getting massacred and you overlook it, or you want to use a soft word to either defend the perpetrators or to ask the victims to calm down and obey law and order. How can you be asking somebody to obey law and order where there is no law and order? If there is no law and order, if there is any law and order in Nigeria where we will be, asked to calm down and wait for law enforcement to take its course, you will not have people killed in the first place. The people who are supposed to enforce the law are the people that are killing. And they have become the terrorists because they have been infiltrated. The commanders, generals in the army are all affiliated to Boko Haram and Islamic jihadist movement. So Nigeria started as a secular state from 1960. It was called a secular state. Secular state in the sense that there is no official religion, there is no official language and all that, only language that ethnically, like dialect, and all that the general language, accepted language and official language become English. Today, as I speak to you, Nigeria from the back door have adopted the Islamic Sharia law without referendum. That secular state has disappeared to the blue moon. In Nigeria today, under our very own eyes, the northern state adopted Sharia law without referendum. Because in that northern state, you have people who are not Muslims, people who migrated from other parts of Nigeria to the northern state, and they are not Muslims. And during the time they were migrating, Nigeria constitution says secular state. And today, they found themselves in an extreme Islamic Sharia state, where their heads are being cut off, where they are stoning them to death at any provocation, where the people who don't even know anything about the religion are being stoned to death. And of course, those that are made open, we'll talk about it. One of the recent one is a lady called Deborah. Deborah is not a Muslim. she's a Christian. She was accused of blasphemy, even when she's not part of their religious movement. She was stoned to death. We are not against Muslims. We are friends of Muslims. We have Muslim friends all over the world. But what we are saying is that let live and let live. If you must have a Sharia in Nigeria, and those people who have agreed to have a Sharia law in their state, they can have their independence. Not necessarily deceiving the people in the sense that they are in Nigeria, where you have a secular state, only for them to realize that if they talk anything against their religion, they're going to get killed and stoned to death. And they are still living in that delusional state of a secular state. Today, Nigeria is being recognized by the United Kingdom as one of the Islamic states. That was the exact word that Macron used, that Nigeria, an Islamic state, was one of those countries that were negotiating the ceasefire with Israel and Palestine. And of course, supporting the killing of Israel's, the invasion of Hamas against Israel territory, which recorded killings and abduction of innocent women and children. Now, again, the dangerous diversity is this. While Nigeria will go to the UN General Assembly to vote and support the state of Palestine, they kill us with guns just for coming out to protest and say that we are ready to also have an independent state. Biafra has suffered the highest, they have become the highest victim in order to continue to push the message and narrative of one Nigeria. We lost 3 million children, not to burn, not to bomb, but to starvation. And that was the war crime committed, one of the war crimes committed by Nigeria. And of course, they have probably escaped being tried for that crime because of the time the UN and of course the International Criminal Court came in place. Having said that, it is not enough that after these 3 million children died, today we are facing times 1,000 of what led to the war that supervised the death of over 3 million. Is it not reasonable for the entire globe, the entire world, those who participated in forcing Biafrans and killing Biafrans and advising Nigeria on how to do blockade over Biafra? Are they not ashamed of themselves today that the Nigeria they cherished and loved so much has collapsed? Nigeria has no other thing to do other than to kill, to lie, involve in international crime, fraud, internet cyber crime, and what have you. Terrorism is on the high rise. Internet fraud is on the high rise. Everybody in Nigeria, if you are not involved in war crime or the other, you will never survive. So Nigeria breeds criminals. And because some of us who have come this far to know how to build a state and make a society a better one, we have risen up to say we will end this particular subjugation of our people, making sure that we do not excel, making sure that we don't develop ourselves, and the only way that we can come out of this subjugation is to have our independent state or Biafra. And I want to make it very clear that we are not declaring independence of Biafra. Rather, we are restoring the already declared independence. It was declared in 1967. So we have a history. And today, everyone have seen the nosedive Nigeria, how Nigeria is nosediving. And we are not the only country or the only nation that are following this path. It may also interest you that Lithuania, who is one of the powerful countries today in this part of Europe, was also facing similar thing in the past before they actually declared their independence. So the Lithuania was, the declaration of the Lithuania was actually the restoration of an independent state which they initially proclaimed in a relatively recent past as at then. And Lithuania redeclared the restoration of their independence. And that's exactly one of the paths the Biafrans are following today. We will issue a declaration to restore our lost independence, which was declared in 1967. And then also a similar thing proclamation was made by a nation called Sahawari. I don't know how many of you know this nation called Sahrawi, the Arab Democratic Republic of Sahrawi in Western Sahara. Their proclamation of the 1976 is exact thing that the Biafra, of course, almost the same thing that Biafra are following today. In this region, in this country, their liberation witness, at least, they took over some portion of their territory and Morocco controlled the rest. And those areas where they are controlling, where they are very strong, is called a free zone. So people should understand that if there is no event, there is no history. You have to create the solution that suits your problem. And what we are doing today is the combination of many process, of many procedure, of many pathway to freedom. Because Nigeria is a complex state, especially with vested interests of the world powers. So what we are trying to do is to profile a solution to the, imagining an upsurge of terrorists from Africa. We imagining as a nation will prevent this upsurge of terrorists. And the emergence of Biafra as an independent state will also restore peace and a lasting peace in the Sahel region. This is a fact. With the way this whole thing is going today, there is a need for Biafra to emerge so that the West and those who believe in civilization will have real alliance in Africa. As it stands today, there is no real alliance in Africa. And what I do not believe is when they say the Western influence. There is nothing like that in our own ideology. What we have is civilization influence. And we are embracing civilization, and civilization we will embrace. We continue to follow the path of civilization because that's exactly the pathway to a better society. Nigeria today has opened what they call Center for Eradication of Innovation. Innovation is part of civilization, and they are eradicating it. So we have different ideology, different belief, everything is different, everything is pulled apart. So the only way we can develop ourselves, attain our potentials, is to govern ourselves in the name of self-determination. So this is the reason we are saying that the world must listen to us now. We have solution, especially to all the problems that are emanating from the West Africa, Sahel region, and of course, the issue of the upsurge of terrorists. The emergence of Biafra will first of all cut all the interest that the terrorists have, which made them to start flowing into Nigeria. And you know what that interest is? They are looking for safe haven, where they can tap on the natural resources, make money, sponsor attack in Europe, sponsor attack in America, and the emergence of Biafra will stop that. Thank you very much. There are many things to say, but I know that a lot of people are here who want to say something. Thank you very much. This is the reason.
It's okay. It's okay.
Or die is our logo and our slogan going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for all this brief, Prime Minister Simon, and more strategies involvement with these two governments in exile. You believe have been achieved?
We've achieved enormous success for both the Biafran government and the Eritrean transitional government within just a 2-month period. In the case of Biafra, to be honest with you, when we initially established the relationship with the Prime Minister, there had been, I would say, a minimal or negligible knowledge of Biafra in the United States. Even U.S. officials who dealt with Nigeria were really not aware of the Biafran issue. and we've arranged for the Prime Minister, as well as other members of the government, to meet directly with congressional officials, members of Congress, senior advisors, senior staffers, people outside of the government who are very influential, the think tanks. And within a short period of time, Washington, D.C. has gone from not talking about Biafra to now, as I mentioned previously, being written about in one of the most prestigious think tanks in Washington, D.C., the American Enterprise Institute. So I think it's been an enormous success, and this is just the beginning. And what we've really been focused on is developing the awareness. Because once you get the awareness, then you get the support. And this is very important for your viewers who are both the Eritrean viewers, our Biafran friends, to understand, is diplomacy is a two-way street, right? One of the things that I've noticed in some of my conversations with our diaspora supporters is that some of them have the assumption that the U.S. government should somehow be able to read the minds of Biafra, read the minds of the Eritrean opposition, to that without educating them, somehow they'll know what to do. And if the U.S. government doesn't help, it means that somehow they're to blame. That's completely absurd. Diplomacy is a two-way street. If whether it's the Eritrean justice movement, the Biafran justice movement, if you want the U.S. to do something or the international community to do something, you have to educate them, give them the facts, give them the figures. That's what the lobbyist does. Tell them what it is you want from them, and then most likely they'll do it. Rather than not educating them, somehow expecting that they know what you want, and then blaming them when something doesn't happen. I mean, that's completely illogical. So, that's why lobbying is important. And in addition to our lobbying, programs such as these are so critical because we are educating the population as to why lobbying is important, why educating is important, why diplomacy is important, and how that interplays. Now, so we've basically gotten Biafra on the map within a short period of time, and we're going to have a huge explosion these next few months in terms of our activities. This is just the beginning. We have a lot of things in the pipeline, and so Nigerian government needs to be more nervous in the coming months. Now, when it comes to the issue of Eritrea, there was a little bit more awareness than the Biafra issue. Not a lot more, but a little bit more. But here is the problem, and I'm going to be very frank. And again, I'm going to go into how we've been so successful in terms of the transitional government. The main issue that the U.S. government has had, or opponents of Isaias Afwerki have had in the U.S. government, is there was always the expectation that the Eritrean opposition, quote unquote, would at some point reach out to the U.S. government and work with them in order to remove Isaias Afwerki. And over time, the U.S. government became very surprised, and we've had private conversations. I've had many conversations. They just became surprised after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years in terms of why is the Eritrean opposition not meeting with us? Why are they not reaching out to us? Why are they not coming to us to work out a strategic plan on how to get rid of Isaias Afwerki? Why are they seemingly talking endlessly amongst themselves, talk, and more talk, and no action? So over time, people in the U.S. government became more and more disgruntled with the Eritrean opposition to the point where it seemed like, okay, these people are never going to get their act together. Now, that's why I think there was an openness within our government, frankly, to look at some other alternative in terms of saying, well, if the Eritrean opposition is incapable of organizing themselves, maybe we can play a role in helping organize them if they can't get their act together. And, President Badarai emerged on the scene. He created the government in exile. It was a perfect match. I connected with President Badarai. We developed a close relationship, a close friendship. And we decided to put all of our force here in Washington behind President Badarai, to support him as now the transitional president of Eritrea, to have a rival government to the dictatorship led by Isaias Afwerki. And it's been an enormous success. Now, I understand that this has created a little bit of controversy. Of course, the Isaias Afwerki is freaking out. He's having his government put out press releases attacking us, attacking President Badarai, because they're scared. They've never seen an opposition leader being so effective. Isaiah Afwerki has just been used to opposition leaders defeating themselves. So he never had to worry. Now he sees someone who's effective and has the support of the U.S. government, and they're completely losing it. But you also have some people, some of our dear friends in the opposition who are frankly a little bit jealous of President Badarai, a little bit complaining as to why is he the leader? Why are we not the leaders? And why are we, not having an input in electing the government in exile? We should be involved in choosing the president in exile and, this and that. And, my response to that, to those people would be, you have 30 years to get your act together. The U.S. government was waiting for you to come to them, to work with them, to get rid of Isaiah Afwerki. You failed to do that. So if you have anyone to blame, you should blame yourselves for not having your act together. If the Eritrean opposition got its act together earlier, I don't think there will be a need for the government in exile, or there will be a need for the U.S. government to be invested in the government in exile. This is being done because the Eritrean opposition has failed the past 30 years. I'm just being very honest about it, and I think people in the opposition need to hear this tough medicine. Enough with the nice talk. They need to hear the truth that they failed, and that's why people in Washington, like myself, that's why people in the U.S. government are getting behind President Badarai. If they're upset about that, they need to get their act together. And we could look at, what we could do with them once they get themselves together. So I just want to put that out there in a very open and honest way. With President Badarai, we've seen the success. It's public. We're not hiding anything. We saw the meeting with Congressman Sherman, which he tweeted about. We saw the meeting with Ambassador Tibor Nagy, former Assistant Secretary for African Affairs under Trump, and former U.S. Ambassador to Ethiopia. He tweeted about it, and this is just a little bit. We've had many other meetings, Congresswoman Betty McCollum, other members of Congress. So we've had a lot of momentum, and this is just the beginning. You're going to see more and more support coming from the U.S. government. I think eventually what's going to happen, especially as the Horn of Africa becomes more unstable, is we already have many people in the government who view President Badarai as the legitimate president, not Isaiah Afwerki. I think once the Horn of Africa moves towards a conflagration, and we see what's happening with Somalia, Somaliland, Ethiopia, the Horn of Africa is a powder keg waiting to explode. But I think, once we get to that point, we're going to push for a more formal recognition by the U.S. government of President Badarai's government. I think the best analogy would be, in this case, for a period of time under the Trump administration, the U.S. government recognized Juan Guaido as the legitimate leader of Venezuela over the Maduro government. So similarly, I think we're going to move in that direction where at some point the U.S. government's going to more formally proclaim that President Badarai is the legitimate leader of Eritrea and not Isaiah Afwerki. And again, if there are people in the Eritrean opposition who are upset about this, they should blame themselves because the U.S. government has been chomping at the bit, eager to work with them, and they've never showed up to Washington, D.C. So again, I would say to members of the opposition, either get in line, get it behind President Badarai because the train is leaving the station. So either support us or stay on the sidelines. What they should not do is try to be bitter about this and make complaints about, why they're not, leading this and why President Badarai is leading this. They should not be doing that. Either they should be supporting us, and a lot of groups are consolidating around President Badarai, or they should be on the sidelines, but they should not be complaining. So, that's the context where we put Biafra on the map. Enormous success. December 2nd is going to be the redeclaration of the Biafran state. We're going to get, all the support here in Washington for that. Nigeria is going to be toast, if not formally, then at least de facto. And similarly with the Eritrean transitional government, we're moving towards a more formal recognition of President Badarai as the legitimate leader of Eritrea and over Isaiah Afwerki. And then, when that happens, we'll decide, what to do from there. So, I just want to give you the overview, and I want to speak very frankly, because I think the time now is to have frank discussions, not to, play around the edges. And so I just want to put everything on the table for you, and I hope this was helpful.
Thank you. Thank you for all of that. My next question is going to be I'm sorry, I have to go back to this screen. Okay, are there any peaceful solutions on the horizon or political dialogue for independence, or do you believe it can only be solved by armed conflicts? If armed struggle is the solution, what sort of preparations are on the way? This, Mr.
I think he's asking Prime Minister
Yes,
Simon.
yes, Prime Minister.
All right, thank you very much for that question. What we're doing now is that, of course, we are open for, peaceful dialogue and all that. As a matter of fact, we are the peaceful one. The Nigerian state is the violent one. And of course, we've actually learned from what happened to others, both in Nigeria and elsewhere in Africa. Africa leaders are the most corrupt, selfish leader you can see anywhere in the world. So they don't actually believe in dialogue and peaceful discussion. So we've seen in Biafra land where peaceful agitators are getting killed, where people who just carry flag to demonstrate on the street are getting shot, straight bullet, killed, massacred in their cold blood. And this has happened from 1999, since the resurgence of the Biafra agitation under Mossab, under the IPOB, Nigeria, where people believe that we're fighting for freedom, only to go to the street, get killed, and they use their pictures and videos to share on the social media. Nigeria is killing us, Nigeria is killing us. I was sitting and watching those things as one Nigerianist that I was. So when I know that Nigeria, it can never ever get better, and I said, instead of wasting my time trying to wait for somebody to come and revive a faulty foundation that I know how rotten it is better that I use everything I have, both my intelligence, my profession, my experience, to support the liberation of Biafra. I joined the struggle. So when I joined the struggle, one of the things I did and promised myself and my God is that under my watch, Nigeria will no longer kill any Biafran and enjoy the killing. So what did we do differently? What we did differently is that in as much as we believe in peaceful agitation and then also, ready for dialogue, so this whole thing can be resolved amicably in a more democratic way, Nigeria are the one bringing violence against our people, killing them for asking for freedom. So we decided to raise our defense forces, and defense forces will be defending our land against the terrorists in uniform, while we will continue to push to the outside world, to the West, to America, in a more diplomatic, more refined, and more, a political way. So we believe in those approaches, and because of the way Nigeria is and the kind of mentality which is kill, 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 and we understand them very well. And the people that are ruling Nigeria are nomadic people. They are not Nigerians. They are not originally from Niger area. The president himself is not a Nigerian. I don't know whether you people are aware of that. He's not originally from Nigeria. The vice president is not originally from Nigeria. So these are people who do not believe in human dignity and the right to life. And of course, we always love human beings. We protect them. We protect women. We protect children. So what I did under my government was that I will provide that security that Nigeria never provided for people. I will make sure that those who support the Biafra government, and whenever they get killed, Nigeria will pay their defense. So we started our self-defense by raising the Biafra Liberation Army, the Biafra Resistance Fighters, and the Biafra Navy. And today, they are engaging Nigeria terrorists whenever they come to kill, as usual. So this is why it looks as if there is a violent way to our freedom. We are not the one bringing violence, but Nigeria state do it. So whenever they see that they cannot overpower us anymore, they start running around and complaining that we are violent. How are we violent? Were we the one who went to the streets to butcher and kill people that are carrying flags? Nigeria is not only violent to Biafrans, they are even violent to those who believe in Nigeria. You see them killing people for protesting for bad governance. You see them killing those who protested for criminals in the NSAS protest, when they are protesting against the terrorist SAS officials. They get killed and they cover them. At the end of the day, over 1,000 persons were secretly buried in Lagos. So Nigeria state is a terrorist state. Using violent states on them is just to give them some kind of accolade. They are terrorist state, and so anybody supporting Nigeria is actually aiding terrorism. And that's why and so it looks as if there are people who are violent or violent agitators. There is no violent agitator. All we do is to defend ourselves to make sure that Nigeria will never have a field day killing Biafrans again. If you check the past, from 2016 to 2017 to 18, they killed and massacred Biafrans in the field of Biafra, and nobody has been held responsible to it. This is the reason it looks as if we are towing the pathway of violence. And of course, we respond when a government is bringing violence. You do not fold your arms. You will respond with violence. And of course, you need to even have a superior power to be able to withstand the kind of barbarism from the Nigeria state. And that's what Biafra have done very, very well. Thank you.
So, Mr. Elias, can you give us looking forward and in the future, what we can be achieved or expected from the modern strategies and cooperation for these two governments in exile?
Yeah, so let me expand a little bit about in terms of what I said previously, which is connected to your question. First of all, I think with our firm, we now have not just a relationship, but a burgeoning alliance between the Eritrean government in exile, between the Biafran government in exile. This will become a very important partnership because both have assets to bring to the table that are mutually complementary. Biafra is a huge country with up to 80 million people, if you include the diaspora. It has a strong military Biafran Liberation Army that the Prime Minister leads. So it has certain assets. Eritrea is a very small country, but it has the advantage of being a country that's already recognized as a member by the international community, as a country recognized by the international community. So I think these are two causes that have a similarity in terms of you have people that have been subject to oppression in different circumstances, but who are beleaguered, subject to persecution and prosecution and killing. And so I think there's a commonality there. I think these are brotherly causes. And I think each of these causes and each of these governments are able to provide something to the other, which will elevate each other. And you're going to see a lot more in terms of, we already have specific plans in the works, and you will see those plans come into fruition in the next coming months in terms of how these two governments will, in a more formal way, develop their strategic alliance. As I alluded to before, we plan to keep raising awareness of the Biafra issue in Washington. Again, most people were not aware of it. We're now making people aware of it. Biafra has been taken now into the center stage of Washington, being published by major think tanks. There's some major congressional initiatives that we're planning these next few months that I don't want to get to publicly right now, but if they happen, will be very significant. And we're also working with our colleagues in Congress and elsewhere to create additional support for this upcoming convention in Finland. And I'll let the Prime Minister speak more to this. There's a Finland convention between November 29th to December 3rd, where you're going to have the signing of the redeclaration of independence, the restoration of the Biafran state, the signing of constitutional documents, strategic alliances, and so forth. So we're going to kind of, get the political support in Washington for that convention. So that's what we have planned. I'm very confident that with our continued effort, we will move our government towards supporting either recognizing Biafra as an independent state or having the U.S. government endorse the position that the Biafrans should be, allowed to have their independence through referendum, which the Prime Minister is already doing. And the Prime Minister, I'm sure, could talk more about that in terms of he's already organized a referendum where 50 million Biafrans have voted for independence. So, perhaps having the U.S. government recognize that referendum formally. And, the U.S. government being the major player, once the U.S. government's on board, other governments will follow, the United Nations will follow, and so forth. And as I've said, we continue to raise the awareness about the Eritrean transitional government in exile and continue to call out the dictator over there. And there's a lot that we're discussing. We've had conversations about potential legislation, potential resolutions, potential even speeches or what have you. So you're going to see a lot more coming. If the Eritrean government is freaking out over some of these meetings that we've had, they haven't seen anything yet. This is just stage one. People are not going to believe it when we get to stage 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm hoping that as we do this, we already have a consolidation because of our success of the smaller groups into the government in exile. The Prime Minister, the President recently was in Addis, Ethiopia, had a major conference where for the very first time, rather than just infighting, the smaller groups decided to coalesce and come under the umbrella of the government in exile. We're hoping to continue this as we get more success, as we continue to engage with the U.S. government. We're hoping more and more of these smaller Eritrean opposition groups consolidate under the government in exile. And I'm particularly hoping that the youth who are so active, the Blue Revolution leaders, the Brigadam Hamadou, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, that those guys come under the tent of the government in exile, and where we could, and we're happy to do this, provide them with mentorship, political training. Our lobbying firm with the president will train them, and we want to get them from fighting with people in these festivals, move that from that to fighting the political fight, fighting in Congress, fighting in the State Department. We would love to bring these young people who are getting into fights at these festivals, training them, educating them, and then bring them to Congress, a group of them, maybe 10 of these Brigadier Hamadou individuals, President Badarai and I and my Congressman Moran, we bring them to Washington, show them around. They need to get to this next stage because, if all they're doing is talk, again, they have the young people. I want to speak to the young people now. The young Eritreans have to learn from the mistakes of their predecessors. They cannot do the same thing, which is talk endlessly amongst ourselves and not do anything. Because if all they're doing is talking amongst themselves and not doing anything, then they're going to be another failure, right? And we don't want that. We want them to be successful. We're here to extend a hand to make sure they're successful, to provide them with the guidance that they need. So I am very optimistic. I think we're going to get Biafran independence, the U.S. to support that. Again, it's going to take time and effort. And the same thing with the Eritrean transitional government. Because, again, we have 535 members of Congress. We have the White House. We have the State Department. We have National Security Council. You have people outside the government in the think tank community that have a tremendous amount of influence. So there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people that need to be educated, that need to be engaged in order to influence U.S. policy. So in the cases of both the Biafran cause and the Eritrean cause, these are going to be long-term projects. This is not just going to be us lobbying for a month or two. This is something we're committed to doing for many years in order to develop the powerhouse in Washington. In a short period of time, we've already gotten tremendous support, more than I even anticipated. And again, I'm very confident that we're going to get an independent Biafra, and the U.S. is going to get behind that. I'm confident we're going to get rid of the dictator, Isaias Afwerki, and the U.S. is going to get behind, or is already behind, but more formally proclaim their support for the transitional presidency of Mr. Badarai. So we're in the right direction. We're going to be successful in both cases. I think the only question is timeline, right? How fast are these things going to happen? And when it comes to that, there's some externalities that are outside of our control, right? We have an election coming up. We don't know what regional events might happen, but we're controlling the things that are under our control, and we're moving in the right direction. I'm very confident in both the Biafran cause and the Eritrean cause. We're going to be successful. I'm very confident in that.
Thank you, Mr. Elias, for all this info. Prime Minister Simon Ekpa, we heard you have offices through the globe, and we understand shortly that that you are planning to announce something in Finland. Can you tell us what the announcement would be and what you plan to achieve by it?
All right. Thank you very much. And you know, if we all can be muted, so because there are some kind of interruption that is not actually technical, you know, so if everybody can be muted so that the noise will be reduced. Yeah, thank you for that question, and thank you, Elias, for bringing up this issue of Biafra convention that is coming up in Finland, and we've you know, have extensive discussion on that, and President Badarai as well. What we intend to do, first of all, let me make a comment on what we have in common before addressing that question. We have in common two government that has failed, you know, failed state. There is no other way to describe this situation other than failed state. Two, we have government that are nomadic, that are practicing nomadic system. What I mean nomadic system is another word for tyranny. It's a nomadic system of government, not democratic. So there is a solution here that we are bringing to the table to bring more advanced democratic system to this both wonderful and beautiful nation, Biafra and Eritrea. That's the what we are bringing to the table. So when the state has failed, we shouldn't allow it to continue. Otherwise, the anarchy will become the norms, and we don't want that particular anarchy to continue. The Nigerian side is even more dangerous than any other part of the world. There is nothing you can't see in Nigeria. Having said that, we have decided that for the past 50 years, since after Nigeria massacred our children, up to 3 million of them, there has not been any clear pathway to exit Nigeria until now. So we decided to go into more organized liberation movement that will consolidate different mechanisms: political approach, diplomatical approach, and the defense approach, which is the armed struggle approach. We didn't, you know, carry arms in the first place. It has become necessary for us to carry arms. So what we intend to do is that we have been able to lay this particular background and structure. The formation of the Biafra government in exile has given this foundation that is needed, that was lacking for decades. So we have opened several liaison offices across the world, getting ready for the restoration of independence of Biafra after the declaration in December 2nd. So on the 29th of November, from 29th of November to 3rd of December, we are going to have the second convention of the Biafra declaration in Finland. We had the first one in 2023, October, and that where we had some adopted some kind of resolution. We had what we call the Helsinki Declaration, which is the Charter of Biafra. We had alliance, which went into official alliance agreement recognition with Amazonia, and after that we after the convention, we begin to activate the strategies that we have, which is the political approach. So on the 1st of February 2024, we started the Biafra self-referendum, organized by the Biafra government in the homeland and of course in exile. But one peculiar thing about us is that we have been able to form the Biafra de facto government in the homeland and created the 40 United States of Biafra, what has never been done since after the war. We have also been able to draw the Biafra map, undisputed, with the consent of the entire ethnic nationalities making up the entire Biafra state. So the map is there, the state structure, the government institution, all have been formed in the homeland, and it is the de facto government of Biafra. So we went into this self-referendum. In the first stage, second stage, we recorded about 30 million votes. We started with the electronic voting, and then we'll see how Nigeria was interrupting the voting. We decided to go physical voting by going into state by state, county by county, district by district. In all this, we have unit by unit. So the referendum is being conducted in the first stage of the referendum, the second stage of the referendum, and the third stage of the referendum. And the referendum is going to end on the 28th of November 2024, while the conference will start on the 29th. So we intend to announce the result of the referendum in Finland during the convention. We are also going to pass many resolutions and vote for it. We are expecting a reasonable number of delegates of Biafrans from all over the world to gather in Finland for this convention. And in this Finland, we will, after we have counted the number of the vote, a number of the Biafrans that have given the Biafra government in exile and the homeland the mandate to declare their independence and fight for them. After we have counted this particular voting and the result will be announced. We will not only just announce the result, we will also publish every document that has to do with how the referendum was conducted for the world who care to know, those who care to know and who care to see it. And then after that, if the number of the vote is reasonable enough, the delegates that have come to Finland for this convention will vote for the approval, and on that approval, the declaration for the restoration of independent state of Biafra will follow. We are planning to issue this declaration on the 2nd December, which is the fourth day of the conference. After that, when we have done with the Finland convention, we will now begin to approach Nigeria, which we know it is just going to be for formality. They will never accept anything democratic. They are not democratic in nature. They don't know even what is democracy. They do fraud in election. They kill people to become governors. They kill to become president. So they don't know what is a democracy. So we are now providing solution from what we have learned from the West, that indeed there are ways to conduct election without people getting killed. And you need to see the videos of the referendum voting in Biafra land, where people dress and come without nobody shouting because, of course, of the security situation and threat. We can't nobody making noise. Everybody come, make your vote, write your name, put your name down, because we have the record of everyone that voted. For the 30 million, we have the record, we have their names and everything. So, when this happens, after this declaration, we will approach Nigeria and the request for the approval and recognition of the self-referendum. We will also do the same thing to African Union, to ECOWAS. All these things are just for formality. These are people who they have put in those positions to hijack the system for the interest of the tyrannic system and nomadic system of government. Most of the people you have in the ECOWAS and the AU are all appointed by the Nigeria state, especially those representing them there. The same thing is applicable to Eritrea. So they are loyal to the government that appoints them. And they are there not to defend the interests of the people, but to the interests of the political party and the interests of the president that appoint them and gave them the appointment. That is why Africa is failing today. Because it is all about the interests of those who appointed you, not the interests of the country, not the interests of the citizen, not for the interests of the society. So we know that our communication will not bring anything or any change, but rather we want to do it as a formality. After that, we will continue the delegitimization of Nigeria within Biafra territory. Because the only two things we want to achieve using this process is the legitimization of the Biafra government and the delegitimization of the Nigeria government. And this is going to be the beginning of the delegitimization and the beginning of the legitimization. The legitimization will follow and come in with the pursuit for international recognition, which is going to take time, which is the reason we are here discussing today, which is the reason we are coming to in alliance with Eritrea, which is the reason now the like minds are coming together from abroad, from exile, to begin to bring change in Africa, to begin to push for a different democratic system that will benefit everyone, to bring Western civilization to Africa, where everybody can participate and voted for without getting killed. That's what the President Badran is fighting for. That's what Simon Ekpa is fighting for, and that's what everyone who is supporting this movement is fighting for. So we can have a better society to live without getting killed, without fear of getting kidnapped or abused. So after that, the delegitimization of Nigeria state will continue as we continue to push with our lobbyists in the Washington, D.C., making sure that America understands the need for Biafra to emerge as an independent state for their own interest too. It is not just about us. What we are doing now is for the interest of everybody. Nigeria continue to stay as a country is going to be a threat to everyone, every one of us, whether you like it or not. And it is already happening. And I believe that many of them who know about Nigeria knows exactly what I'm talking about. So Biafra becomes alternative to make sure that we have long-term solution to the upsurge of terrorists. And after that, the delegitimization of Nigeria continues. The fight for legitimization of the Biafra government will now take them to the second stage. Like Elias said here, we will continue to create awareness for the people in the United States, those who are in decision-making in the US, and of course in Europe as well and beyond, for them to understand that Biafra is the only alternative that will bring solution, bring peace, so that all this money they keep sending to money to Africa, when Africa is actually richer than them in natural resources, but they are being mismanaged and all that. So you don't need to be sending aid to Africa. We don't need it. We don't need the aid. The aid is actually what is, making all these people to be what they are today. So we don't need those aids. Rather, we need good governance, good democracy system, a true democracy. We need law and order, where the government will be held responsible when international law, international treaty is breached. Like Nigeria today, they go kidnapping, they go to Kenya to kidnap somebody, kidnap the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, and nobody has sanctioned them. Everybody is fine with it. That is not the kind of society we are fighting for. Nigeria have done this in the 80s. They went to London, to the United Kingdom, to kidnap somebody called Omar Diko. And the United Kingdom jailed every one of them that are involved. Today, look at where they are. They have not jailed anybody for kidnapping their own citizen in Kenya. And not only that, even their own citizen is still languishing in the DSS dungeon in Nigeria. And there is nothing have been done. Money have changed hand. Nigeria have bribed all of them, and nobody can talk. So we are not looking for that kind of system to continue to live in that kind of system. So what we are doing is that after this Finland Convention, where a lot of things will be unveiled, alliances will be signed and all that. We will go into the next stage. As our lobbies are educating the United States policymakers, we will be busy delegitimizing Nigeria within Biafra land until our voice is heard by the highest authority. Thank you very much.
Number one, I mean, everything he said, I agree with, especially, on the differences, on the similarities. What sort of governments, what they do to our people. Yes, Africa is not poor, Africa is rich. But a lot of resources has been misused and abused, and with so many corrupted people managing our resources. I want to wish them success on their upcoming convention or conference in Finland. Unless the sky is falling apart, transitional Eritrean government in exile intends to be there. No surprise. We may even have some surprise of our own. So I think going forward, we are really to work together, and we are consulting with each other to become very, very powerful and support for each other. We just had our convention less than 2 weeks ago. As Elias said, he was in Ethiopia. That means we found us another friend in the African nation of Ethiopia. Why in Ethiopia? Well, we only go to places or countries that allows you. Can't just go, if come tomorrow, whether Djibouti, Somaliland, Sudan, or others. If they allow us or if they invite us to do the convention with heartbeat, without any hesitation, yes, we'll accept the offer and do the conference wherever they allowed us. So in the conference, believe it or not, it was successful and more than what we expected. All these small factions, it is well known, our problem is our fragmentation. We fight for the same reason, our goal is the same, but everybody trying to push the table from every different, maybe 10 angles, and the table not moving anywhere. Therefore, knowing this, those small groups, they were receptive to begin with, and we kind of consolidated to create one central command. It is amazing. This is the largest population of Eritrean youth, over 300,000, and the next one would be in Uganda. All these are victims of exodus or running from the military, lifetime militarism in other sense. So they agree to come under our tent, which means we are building that team one step at a time. They agreed to come together. This was a big success and a historical milestone. It never happened before. We enter into a conference peacefully and conclude peacefully. But this was one in the history. In the previous occasions, there were several conferences, including in Ethiopia, and they just came out splitting more with no success. So this is not simple achievement. We have achieved a great deal. And not only that, the Ethiopian government primarily and the people of Ethiopia would like to thank them for allowing us. And because of them also, we were able to consolidate our people. There is one indigenous group from the Afar group, and the whole Afar group was in our team, which means under one leadership, we can make it happen. Some of these ideas, which is based on democratic principles, yes, we can incorporate them. Yes, we can make them inside our family. Yes, we can make them inside our tent in order for all of us to live in peace and harmony. Yes, little bit stuff that we need today is in order to overthrow this government. After that, everything can follow. Yes, so many things can be done ahead in order to comfort our people. So they all need to come in this tent, even those all groups, the political powers. We need to come under one tent if we want to succeed. If we are really feeling the pain of our people, yes, we have to set aside our egos, our personal interests. Yes, we need to come in this transitional Eritrean government in exile. Yes, come and help us. Come advise us. Come support us. But if come the worst, you couldn't do all of the above, at least stay out of the way. You need to stay off at our way. We need to win. For that reason, with this occasion, I want to call on all of you to come in, to come and join us. With that in mind, I would say thank you, and that also concludes my comment on that Biafran conference. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. President. Any comments on the question that I just put on the screen? Would you say any comment? Otherwise, I'll go to Mr.
Is that
Elias.
the same comments that you wrote, Mr. KJ?
No, that is not me. That is from the audience.
But I don't know. I have a hard time to understand the question. I don't know if it is a.
Let me respond to that comment.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, you see, that comment is one of the comments, some of the comments you get in a situation like this. And what does that tell you? It tells you that people are with you, majority of them are with you, and they like what you are doing. So there is no need for them coming here to comment, ask questions. It is something we also face in our own struggle. So people don't come and start talking when they already know what you are doing. Just like we have said it before, that we are not hiding anything. And actually, not hiding anything is the reason why many people will come to just, what do you have for us today? What is the development? What is the next level? What is the next step? That's what people are. Once you are very, very connected with the people, they don't need to ask you a question. It's only those who are coming now who have realized that, oh, maybe we have been going the wrong way for a very long time, and they decided to come back, because you left them behind, and they don't care to know what was going on. So now they want to ask questions. These are kind of the people that will come to make such comment, because they are never part of the movement. They are those who dine with the enablers. They're either directly or indirectly, and they support those who are, destroying the life and the future of the people. So those kind of comments is not something we should even be addressing. I'm just telling you that many people who are interested in having a future, a better future, and have followed the event from the beginning will not waste their time to ask questions, because you have not hidden anything from them. Everything is in the open. And I like the freedom fighting of open book. That's exactly what we do in Biafra. There is nothing I'm doing today that is not out there, because we are fighting for a nation. There is nothing to hide, except some kind of high level of meeting that you will have, and you want to keep it secret. But every other thing should be open, because the people you are trying to liberate and trying to give a better future should be following to know whether this is going to work and what they should be expecting, or is it going to be a government of gangster and all that. So I think the comment here says it all. He said, not reading any comment from Eritrea says it all. Go and find them. It was actually from a very wrong perspective, because it shows that people don't have any concern, and they have been following him for a very long time, except if you are coming today and you don't know what he has been doing. That's when you are going to ask questions. Thank you.
If we have enemy, let's fight that enemy in any way you can, and allow us to fight in the way we know. So because of that, whatever been said, for God's sake, I only say, I do excuse my people. If I am fighting against the tyrant and someone don't like that, it is going to be what they call damn, just damn. There's nothing else I can say. But thank you, Prime Minister.
Thank you very
And
much.
I just want to add a quick comment that I agree exactly with the Prime Minister
Yes,
said.
that's what I would like to to hear, Mr. Elias, and also as an advisor to these two government is also what to see. And I don't blame this comment, because in fact he's asking where are the Eritreans, and I think this is a question that all of us have to find an answer, and especially Mr. Elias, you are learning more and a lot also today, so this will be, I think, a good start for you.
No, this is a learning experience for me. I just want to go to your point. I just want to say I agree exactly with what the Prime Minister said. Usually, let's say people who are already supporting President Badarai don't necessarily come on to make gratuitous comments, right? They already know him and they know what he's trying to do and what the agenda is. Oftentimes when comments are made, it's to be provocative because, these people are, as the Prime Minister said, working with the enablers or the other side. So if you go on social media, for example, first of all, the President Badarai is the most talked about opposition leader as the transitional president on social media. Everyone, whether it's supporters of President Badarai or the enemies of President Badarai, he's the number one topic. Isaias Afwerki himself, through his information, Yemeni Meskel, attacked President Badarai and attacked our lobbying efforts and the people we're meeting with. So, there's plenty of commentary out there on President Badarai. He's the most talked about person right now. And I agree with the Prime Minister. If his supporters aren't making comments, it's because they already know what he's doing, and they know his agenda. It's not necessary to make a comment. And a lot of the comments on social media about President Badarai are from the enemy, from opponents, from the people who are supporting the dictator. So oftentimes it's the people who are against you who like to come out and make the crazy comments. I just wanted to, that's a long way to say I agree with what the Prime Minister said. His assessment is spot on. The air train, as the president has said, the smaller air train groups have consolidated behind him, and he's getting the support, given what we're doing. And so I'm very excited about, moving forward. I hope we can work with the air train community to educate them about the way forward. I think the Prime Minister has done a tremendous job in terms of showing the way for the Biafran people, providing leadership. I think one of the commonalities, if I may, between the President and the Prime Minister is that their leadership has given direction to their people who were previously mired by issues of the infighting, the backstabbing, and so forth. And I think that's the commonality where you had a group, they weren't sure what to do, and then you have the leaders, and they're providing the direction, and the people are coming behind them. So I think both President Badarai and the Prime Minister are visionary African leaders. They're the ones who are providing that vision, which is mobilizing their people. So it's an honor to work with both of them, and I think we'll have a lot of success moving forward.
With that in mind, I am very thankful to be here, and I'm thankful for my guests also, Mr. Prime Minister Simon and Gerasoulis, and also thank you, Mr. KHA. Thank you very much.
And thank you all for coming to the show and spending your time with me. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification so you can see all of my new videos when I post. Thank you, respective guests, for being all this time with me, and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Biafrans, please stay behind your gadget, because the Biafra government cabinet will be having emergency session, and this emergency session will be aired live. For the very first time, we're going to have live emergency session of the Biafra cabinet. So every Biafran watching this program, all of you, about 10,000 are watching live on Twitter. You have to stay behind, as we will come back live again for the live coverage of the Biafra cabinet emergency meeting. Thank you very much.
And just one quick comment, I just want to make that I've got to know both of these two leaders very well. On a personal level, I want to say I respect them. I admire them. I think they're individuals of extraordinary character and leadership. again, they're not just clients, but I consider them very good friends as well. And, the followers of the prime minister, followers of the president should know that these are two good men that they're following. So I just thought it was important to say that. And also that, these are two individuals who've been very loyal to me. And I'm a very loyal person. Loyalty is important. So I feel very loyal to them as well. So we have a very close relationship, and it's something I greatly value and look forward to continuing.
That is great. And also we will follow. Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also we will keep in touch with you guys, and we will follow any achievement, anything you may do later on. So we can come back again on the stage and see what is going on. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Biafra, Biafra. Yeah, Superstar Media. Tell me about Biafra. We going back to the motherland. Tell me about Biafra. I wanna know. Tell me about Biafra. We going back to the motherland. Tell me about Biafra, Biafra. I wanna know. We going back to the land. We going back to the motherland. Biafra, Biafra. Tell me about Biafra. We going back to the land. Tell me about Biafra. We going back to the motherland. Tell me about Biafra, Biafra. Tell me about Biafra. We going back to the land.